welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're diving into something that really gets people talking, doesn't it? AI music.
Oh, definitely. You see it everywhere online, right? The debates, the strong opinions.
Exactly, like those late-night Reddit threads or, TikToks of angry guitar players. It sparks huge reactions, and it boils down to this question, I think. Is this stuff really music?
Mm.
And, where's the line? When does using tech make something, I don't know, not valid? We use loops, right? Auto-tune, drum machines.
Zappies, MIDI keyboards,
Yeah.
copy paste,
Yeah.
all standard stuff now.
Totally standard. So what makes AI feel so fundamentally different for some people?
Well, that's really the core question we want to unpack in this deep dive. Our goal here is to sort of step back from the immediate heat, the fear, maybe,
Yeah.
and look at AI as just, well, another step in how music and technology have always evolved together. We've gathered quite a bit of material on this.
Right. And looking through that material, a lot of the experts we reviewed seem to land on. Okay, technically, yes. AI music often sounds like music.
It's structured like music.
It's built like music. It can move you like music. So fundamentally,
Yeah.
the sources tend to agree it is music in that sense.
But there's that paradox you mentioned.
Oh, yeah. The hypocrisy, maybe. It's fascinating. You see artists criticizing AI, right? But then you look at their own work.
And it's got like 12 tracks of Melodyne pitch correction.
Right. Loops from splice everywhere. A vocal chain longer than my arm. It does seem a bit, contradictory.
It really highlights something we see over and over again in music history, which our sources definitely confirm. New tech always gets pushback.
Always.
Think synths in the 70s, sampling later on. DAWs themselves were controversial ones, even electric guitars.
True.
Technology's just always been woven into making music. Auto-tune didn't kill emotion, did it?
No.
DAWs didn't destroy soul. And the consensus in our research is pretty clear. AI won't either. It's just another tool in the box.
So when you dig into the arguments against it, the sources suggest the real problem isn't the tech. It's more like fear,
Yeah.
gatekeeping, maybe even a bit of ego.
Those seem to be the recurring themes, yeah. Fear of the unknown, protecting territory.
Okay, let's tackle another big one. This idea that AI just writes the music for you.
Yeah.
Like you click a button and poof, there's a song.
Right, that's a common misconception that comes up a lot in the discussions we looked at.
And who usually says that?
Yeah.
Often it seems to be people who, haven't actually used these tools much.
Or maybe haven't spent, 7 hours meticulously tweaking a vocal take or constantly rewriting prompts to get the AI to understand the vibe.
Or wrestling with 10 different AI-generated bass lines because none of them quite groove right yet. It's not instant magic.
Not at all. Looking at how people actually use these AI tools based on our sources, it's a deep process. It takes iteration. You're spending hours shaping things, refining, perfecting. Both the text you give the AI and the music it gives back, it's not like you just say, write a sad song about a flower and get a masterpiece.
Definitely not. That kind of command gives you, mush usually.
Yeah. Exactly. It takes real artistic direction, careful listening, constant adjustments, just like any production work.
Precisely. Writing good prompts, learning the quirks of the software, shaping the sounds, maybe rewriting lyrics the AI suggested, directing the individual stems.
EQing those AI vocals so they sit right in the mix.
Yes. All of that is creative work. It's a craft. It's like learning an instrument or a DAW, just different. The effort is absolutely there.
It requires skill and aesthetic judgment.
So, okay, maybe the resistance isn't just about the button-pushing myth. What else is going on? Our sources point to something maybe deeper.
Yeah, I think they suggest the real perceived threat for some is, AI kind of levels the playing field.
Right. Suddenly someone who maybe didn't go to music school, doesn't have a label deal, hasn't spent 20 grand on gear.
They can still create something really compelling, something beautiful.
Now that can be threatening to the established order.
Well, history shows us that, doesn't it? Our sources bring this up repeatedly. Think about resistance to electric instruments displacing acoustic ones, or digital recording challenging analog studios, even word processors making typewriters obsolete. There's always resistance when technology disrupts the way things were done, especially when it challenges who gets to participate. AI questions that idea that only a few special people, maybe with certain credentials or resources, get to be creators.
And that democratization, our research suggests, is maybe what's really unsettling for some. It kind of shakes up this idea that artistic value is tied only to traditional paths or, exclusive access.
Right. If AI lets people bypass some of those traditional gatekeepers, it can feel like it's undermining the value of those gates.
Yeah, it's a challenge to the status quo.
But this really underscores AI's potential, doesn't it? Its role in democratizing creativity, opening doors.
For independent artists, people without studio access, without session musicians on call.
Exactly. It just allows so many more voices, potentially, to be heard. An industry that's been historically quite well gated.
And the perspective in a lot of our sources is pretty clear on this. Art doesn't need a gate. Creativity doesn't really ask for permission, does it?
Not really.
AI is just giving tools to people who didn't have them. And maybe, as many argue, that's something we should actually celebrate, not fear.
It shifts the focus back to the idea, perhaps.
Which brings us back to that really fundamental question that kept popping up in our deep dive. What even is music, like at its core?
Yeah, is it about the specific instrument, how long it took, who made it?
Or is it something else? Many sources lean towards this idea that music is basically feeling you can hear.
Emotion with rhythm, structure with soul.
Exactly. And the real test maybe is just, does it hit you? Does it make you feel something?
If you laugh or cry or dance or, find yourself speeding a little when it comes on.
Then that's music. Whether it came from a guitar, a synth, or, a neural network trained on 10,000 sad songs, if it moves you, it counts.
That's a powerful way to look at it. And it connects to something specific we saw discussed. Lyricists using AI.
Oh, right. Tell us about that.
Well, think about writers who really pour their souls into words. They've got notebooks full of stories, experiences, real life.
Okay.
They might not be instrumentalists or producers, but they have the core message, the emotion. AI becomes a way for them to soundtrack their own stories.
Without needing to learn guitar or rent a studio for weeks.
Exactly. It bridges the gap between their poetry, their existing creative work, and the final sonic output.
So that whole narrative about AI being lazy or shallow,
Yeah.
it doesn't really fit here, does it?
Not if you're the one bringing the core story, the emotion, the lyrics you crafted maybe months ago.
Right. What if you already did the hard emotional work in those 25 notebooks? AI isn't doing that for you. It's becoming your collaborator, your arranger, your band.
Your producer, yeah. A tool to realize a vision you already had.
So how is that fundamentally less valid than, say, a singer-songwriter using a loop pedal to build up layers? It's still technology assisting creation.
It points to this idea that creativity isn't just one thing, it's a whole spectrum. And AI, our sources argue, doesn't have to erase authenticity, it can actually rivet it.
How so?
If the core message, the lyrics, the feeling comes from you, AI is just the canvas or maybe the paint. It's amplifying your raw emotion, making your story audible. It's still your voice guiding it.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But then there's that nagging question. If AI generated the sounds, who's the real artist?
Let's flip that based on what we've been discussing. If you wrote the lyrics, if you directed the mood, chose the beat, structured the whole song, set the emotional tone.
But used AI maybe for the instrumentation or the final production polish.
Then who isn't the artist? You're the director. You're the visionary. AI was the tool you used.
And our research strongly suggests.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's valid. That's just modern creation.
Yeah.
Contemporary artistry.
Absolutely. There's a great analogy some sources use. Not everyone wants to learn to play the violin perfectly. Some people just want to write the symphony and have it played.
I like that. AI is the orchestra for those who don't have one.
Precisely. And that's not the death of music. You could argue it's a rebirth, an expansion.
So circling back to the critics, the doubters, when we look at the discourse we analyzed, it feels like maybe the defensiveness isn't really about protecting music itself.
It might be more about protecting established structures, definitions of proper artistry.
Yeah. Defending an industry that, let's be honest, has often been pretty exclusive for decades.
And our sources suggest that era might just be, shifting. That exclusivity is breaking down.
People are creating amazing things from their bedrooms, collaborating with AI.
They're not necessarily trying to take someone else's spot in the old system. They're kind of building their own stage, right? In ways that just weren't possible before.
Yeah. So the reality, really, from everything we've looked at in this deep dive, is that AI in music, it's not some far-off future thing. It's here. It's now.
It's part of the present landscape.
And it feels like there's a choice, doesn't it? You can engage with it, learn the tools, use them, create in ways you couldn't before.
Or you can kind of stand on the sidelines, maybe shouting fake or not real music.
While everyone else is exploring and dancing past you, basically. Because the message that comes through loud and clear from so many sources is, AI isn't here to kill music. If anything, it's here to free it.
To open it up.
Absolutely. So here's something to maybe think about as we wrap up.
Yeah.
A final thought.
Okay.
If AI really does lower these barriers so much, let so many different authentic voices find their sound, what happens next? What kind of completely new genres, new musical forms might bubble up that we can't even conceive of right now, simply because creating them just became possible for almost anyone? And that is a wrap for this deep dive, folks. Thanks for joining us.
See you next time.